Today we're at UN for Mission of Pakistan. What's your name?
My name is Saima Salim. I'm counselor at the Permanent Mission of Pakistan to the United Nations, and we're holding this event on Indus Waters Treaty and Pakistan's water crisis, challenges and the way forward, and I'll be moderating the event.
Oh, that's great. Can you talk about a little bit today in the meeting what we're going to, what's our concern?
So basically, in this event, we have a very interesting panel with very rich and wide-ranging experience. They're going to talk about the holding in abeyance of the Indus Waters Treaty, its human rights, humanitarian, and peace and security implications for the South Asian region.
Oh, that's good. Well, hopefully this meeting we can going very well and get the result we wish for.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Treaty has long stood as an example of transboundary water management and cooperation, but today it faces challenges that strike at the heart of humanitarian well-being and regional stability. Today's discussion is not only about a treaty, it is also about the dignity of millions, the survival of future generations, the principles of peaceful coexistence, and upholding the sanctity of international law itself. Against this perspective, I have the honor to invite our keynote speaker, Ambassador Asim Iftikhar Ahmed, Permanent Representative of Pakistan to the United Nations, for his remarks.
Thank you, Madam Moderator, and very good afternoon to all of you, colleagues, excellencies, distinguished panelists, ladies and gentlemen. It is a privilege to speak to you, a very distinguished gathering, I would say, gathered here on a very important topic. Water security has become one of the defining challenges of our times. For Pakistan, this is an existential reality impacting our economy, our society, and the very survival of our people. The Indus River system is the lifeline of Pakistan. Nearly 80% of our cultivated land depends on its waters, sustaining livelihoods and food production. The Indus Waters Treaty that was concluded in 1960 was a rare triumph of cooperation in a region that we know is often beset by divergences. For more than 6 decades, it has stood as a model of transboundary resource management, where the parties found common ground. Its durability was a testament to one of the most fundamental principles of international law, pacta sunt servanda. Agreements must be kept and observed in good faith. But colleagues, of late, this treaty is facing its gravest challenge. The Indian move to unilaterally hold it in abeyance has raised serious doubts about the sanctity of international commitments. It is a grave violation of international law, including international humanitarian law and human rights law. And let us be clear, the treaty remains legally intact. The Permanent Court of Arbitration, in its recent decisions of June and August 2025, reaffirmed the continuing validity of the treaty and its binding dispute resolution mechanisms. These rulings leave no ambiguity that no party has the authority to unilaterally suspend or abandon this agreement. The Indus Waters Treaty is alive and its provisions remain binding on the parties. I would like to touch on 2 key dimensions of this discussion. First, the consequences of undermining the treaty are extremely grave in terms of human suffering. The devastation caused by recent floods in Pakistan was compounded, for example, by the denial of timely data sharing, which is an obligation clearly enshrined in the Indus Waters Treaty. The absence of critical information turned a natural disaster into a humanitarian tragedy, costing lives, displacing families, and eroding trust. This painful episode underscored what is at stake when such treaty obligations are disregarded. Ordinary people bear the brunt. Farmers who see their crops drowned, children left without homes, critical infrastructure destroyed. Water, especially in arid regions like ours, cannot be withheld or manipulated by the upper riparian without serious consequences for the lower riparians. It is a basic human right, the foundation of public health, food production, and human dignity. For a country of over 240 million people, uncertainty over water availability translates into depleted reservoirs, empty fields, shrinking harvests, diminished agricultural productivity, and deepened poverty. Water scarcity heightens vulnerabilities, particularly for women and children. The human cost of undermining the Indus Waters Treaty is therefore borne disproportionately by those least able to endure it. To treat water as an instrument of political leverage is to deny people their most fundamental human rights. Water must never be weaponized. This is Pakistan's position. Second dimension that I want to highlight is that beyond the humanitarian dimension, Indian actions carry grave implications for peace and security. The Indus Waters Treaty has long functioned as a stabilizing force in South Asia, insulating a vital resource from political tensions and conflict. Its weakening risks creating a new fault line in a region already marked by volatility. The UN Security Council has recognized the link between natural resource management and international peace and security. And nowhere is that link more evident than in the case of Indus Waters. And there is a bigger question here also for the wider international community. The danger does not end within Pakistan's borders. If an agreement as celebrated and as resilient as the Indus Waters Treaty can be held in abeyance, what message does that send to the rest of the world? That transboundary water agreements from Central Asia to Latin America, from Africa to Middle East, are only as durable as the wings of the parties? That solemn legal obligations can be paused at will? It would set a dangerous precedent, inviting instability in other fragile regions where shared rivers are the difference between harmony and conflict. Unraveling of Indus Waters Treaty would not only impact Pakistan, it would erode confidence in international law and send a wrong message far beyond our region. Despite these challenges, the path forward, in our view, is clear. The treaty endures and its mechanisms remain valid. Recent arbitral rulings have reaffirmed these facts. The treaty obligations must be respected. Cooperative water management is not a choice. It is a necessity for peace, security, survival, and shared prosperity. The Indus Waters Treaty is more than a legal document. It is a lifeline for millions, a guarantor of regional stability. To weaken it is to endanger the credibility of international agreements everywhere. And to uphold it is to affirm the primacy of law, the sanctity of treaties, and the dignity of humanity. Colleagues, participants, Pakistan remains steadfast in its commitment to the treaty and to the principles of equity and cooperation that underpin it. We trust that the international community will also stand with us in upholding these values for peace, for preservation of international legal order, and above all, humanity. I thank you for your attention.
Dr. Kishore, who holds a doctorate from Sorbonne University, Paris, worked as an international lawyer for over 35 years at IFAD, World Bank, and IID, among others. Throughout his career, he managed projects related transactions in more than 50 countries and led project teams in some of them. He also designed and implemented a variety of training programs on international development law and water and governance issues, and served on the editorial boards of World Bank Law, Justice and Development series and BRIT's Research Perspective on International Water Law series. Dr. Kishore, who focuses broadly on journal international law, has authored 14 books which cover several thematic issues including development, governance and transboundary water management, including the Indus water regime. Dr. Kishore, kindly reflect on, for us, is holding in abeyance of Indus Waters Treaty an imminent threat to peace and security in South Asia? You have the floor.
Changes must have radically transformed obligation imposed by the treaty. The second criterion is that the action must constitute an essential basis of consent to be bound by the treaty. And the third criterion is that action should have altered the nature of the obligation in an essential way. I must add that regarding this, the International Court of Justice has precedence, and that it seems that no party can unilaterally abrogate its obligation on the vague basis of political change and social or environmental conditions. Thus, altered demography and need to accelerate the development of clean energy do not, in my view, seem to constitute a fundamental change of circumstance. And my analysis is purely legal; it is not based on any political issues. Let me now talk about the criteria for material breach test. The justification concerning the material breach test or treaty obligation is also linked with Vienna Convention on Law of Treaties, international law, and military warfare, and this is for both countries. But now, in my view, it goes beyond. I want to emphasize that the effects of the decision is not limited. It transcends the two countries. The suspension will have a far-reaching consequence in the whole of South Asia, with potential side effects on the adherence to international law, and Excellency mentioned, resource management, diplomacy, and environmental and social security. It will really risk undermining a rare pillar of stability in an already divided region. So I will stop here. Thank you very much.
Next panelist is Dr. Masood Ahmed, our water expert. Dr. Masood Ahmed retired from the World Bank in 2017 and since then works as an independent advisor. He has over 37 years of experience in planning, design and implementation policies related to water resources. He pioneered and led the investment programs of over $20 billion and policy dialogue in several countries for World Bank, including in South Asia, East Asia, Europe, Middle East, and North America. Dr. Ahmed, may I request your insight on?
So it underpins a huge technical analysis, which is unlike many other treaties which you see in there, which are more of legal nature. The second thing about this treaty is that its spirit was, it is taken a lot as a water sharing agreement, but in reality the main spirit was to further the development of the Indus Basin, which it did. The Indus Basin development started before the treaty. You know, the lot of canals both on East Punjab and West Punjab were developed prior to that, and up to 1930s there was this water transfer which was taking place, which kind of stalled. So the issue, one hand was the water sharing, but the secondly was how to continue the development in the Indus water resources. And all that technical people which discussed at that time saw that this is the arrangement by which the continued development of the Indus Basin can take place for the people who are living in that on both sides of that border. So there is a third aspect of that is that unlike most treaties which are always in the books and right, this has a physical footprint on the ground. The infrastructure was developed as a part of the treaty to make the treaty work on both sides of the border. There are dams and link canals and canals built on India side, which enable the better use of the water which was allocated that way, which is obviously Muslim. Without that infrastructure development, they could not use that much water for that, and without the treaty, that infrastructure couldn't be developed. Same thing happened on the western side of the border. That Tarbela, Mangla, all that was developed, and that was not possible. So this treaty, when you talk about abeyance, it's not abeyance in a courtroom or in a paper. It has a footprint on it. That footprint on the ground has to change anything in the treaty. That's what I want to emphasize. Because a lot of time people talk about the legal things. Now, the thing here is that the spirit was to continue the development of Indus water, and that has not ended yet. That the technology changes which is happening, then it can be done more efficient. And if you don't have a arrangement in place, that continued development is not feasible. And that is already happening in terms of, we talked about solars, and we're doing floating solars on the reservoirs on both sides. It's happening. In India side, there's on the canal, there's a floating solar. In Pakistan, in Karbala, we have made floating solar. So the new energy, which is part of that one. And the main thing, the question is what to do if there's uncertainties. And that, I have done a lot of crisis projects in the world after.
Data, which could have explained that how much water we are expecting from India during the season of floods, maybe we could have done more better arrangements. But because according to India, the issue is in the treaty is in abeyance and suspended, so we only get the only
water repairing to India for Brahmaputra and Indus. As one of the participants said, we need short-term solutions. Anything that we talk about long-term is not the need right now, it's the immediate need for Pakistan. So I think Pakistan needs to do parallel efforts working with China and pleading its case in the UN and using its alliance with China to help solve this issue, because China has got a clout given up riparian as their status for India. So is there any effort being done unilaterally with China to solve this issue?
And that issue was sorted by the President Trump in the White House. So don't you think that it will be appropriate for Pakistan to bring that second issue to White House again, that really thinks that there really could be a reasonable solution house?
Political, economical, and social, and whatever happening in the Middle East. First of all, the human rights has become a very weak word. It seems that the human rights does not exist in today's world. The other thing is in litigation process, it takes so long that you cannot solve the problem with the litigation because it took 16 years and 20 years. My question is without having a political weight, because this is more political than economical or technical or engineering question. It's more of political weight. Unless we have the political weight which is in our favor through Security Council or through other means, we cannot resolve this problem. My question is how Pakistan can garner a political weight from the Security Council members or from the European Union or for other entities that we can resolve this problem. How we can garner the political weight to resolve this issue?
Thank you for your question. One more question. My question to you, Mr. Dawood, is what role can the United Nations system, World Bank, and civil society play in reinforcing the Indus Waters Treaty's implementation and fostering regional peace? You have the floor.
Thank you very much, Sana. Thank you very much, and I really thank Mala and the Pakistani mission for organizing this important event. And before I explain that what the World Bank and the UN and at the same time the civil society can do, I would like to express that what is happening in Pakistan right now on the ground. My hometown is in Sialkot, and when I had to come to America, I have to come to Islamabad. So during that way, you have to pass through Chenab River and Jhelum River. And when I was traveling on the 4th of September, I have seen a mass migration of people, hundreds of thousands of people, sitting on the roads and waiting for the next devastation coming their way. People were having their properties in their hands and their kids hanging on their cattles. So this was the situation I was witnessing. And I found this event